but nobody was hitting harder than Butch and Pac tonight. This match, I'm sorry, I was geeking out as a fan. I don't even have an analytical perspective on this one other than like for me as a fan. These two beat the piss out of each other, and it was everything that I wanted it to be. Butch looked better than he's ever looked in a singles match in AEW.
Yep, I
He was
agree.
better in this match than he did in the Jon Moxley match, and obviously the Moxley match was hindered by some of the elements outside of his control as far as the weather. It was incredibly humid that night. You could tell it was affecting the big fella. Nothing was affecting Butch tonight. He was on his game, and it was great because on social media, if you guys follow Butch, and I highly recommend you do, he's incredibly supportive of his fans. He's hilarious, funny. You would never guess. I mean, my wife and I were watching last night, and she was just like, he's scary looking.
Oh,
He's scary looking. And you would never, I mean, I tell her, like, this guy is one of the most supportive, cool guys that you'll ever meet on social media. He's just funny, laid back. But you would have never guessed that with the way he was going on last night in that ring. There's another switch when Butch hits the ring. That dude is a beast.
Dude, that's exactly what I wrote down so I can remember this. Not that I need to, but Butch is a scary, scary man. And wow, when he just starts marching to the ring, I mean, he's got some new ring attire, but the same and even more intensity. He looked great. He seems like he's like transforming his body, maybe losing a little bit
He
weight,
looks like
getting
he's
more
lost
leaned
some
out.
weight for sure.
Which is great. Eddie was on the mic, which usually I enjoy, but I almost felt like it was more of a distraction than in addition to the match itself, but it had its place. But what I loved, back to the match, is the face-to-face start where they're just like rubbing each other's faces in each other's face before the bell. That is just the intensity of those two. And we knew this was going to be a brutal match, and it delivered on every aspect. I mean, both these guys, I was struggling for my top performer, and these two guys, I was going back and forth between the two for my top performer of the night. We've been looking forward to this match since Pac re-debuted, and it definitely delivered. Pac's kicks to the Butcher's chest just echoed, and they were so brutal. I was just like wincing in pain because of how the thumping, thump, 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 thump. Man,
preach it, brother.
but the Butcher had such a strong outing. The power bomb that he had, it was like that running power bomb on Pac was brutal.
Oh.
And he's just whipping him into the turnbuckle to try to, work on the neck of Pac. It was just some great in-ring work by Butcher. He looks great. He's got the best stash in the biz. Speaking of stash, this is a stashing through the snow Christmas shirt, in honor of the Butcher, I guess you could say.
Butcher would be proud.
But it was such a great match.
As a Pac fanboy, I mean, he's my favorite wrestler in the whole world. And for me to sit back here and just hear you laud praise to the man, I love it. I'm smiling ear to ear. I loved this match. I thought you highlighted a couple things that I want to reemphasize is that stare down, that head-to-head stare down between these two. It's an example of why I love Pac. The dude is just intense from the minute his music hits. He's pure intensity. He's anger and fire and just this desire to want to win that is through the roof. And I love that about Pac. He brings it. His offense is so impactful. It's like he's throwing everything he can into each kick. Those kicks that you said against Butch were on point. And what I love more than anything too is it kind of gets lost is his selling ability. Man, the dude looked like he was dead at multiple points in this match. After that, I mean, honestly, there was a string of offense where I was feeling good as a Pac. I mean, obviously, I love Butch and I love Pac. I love both these guys. I thought they like their styles, both physically imposing guys in their own way.
Right.
And I knew this match was going to be hard hitting, especially because Butch was studying some Stan Hansen tapes on YouTube before the match. And if you don't know Stan Hansen, you don't know that dude. It was an old school hoss who loved chops. Go back and go to Butch's page, FPD, go to Butch's Twitter, scroll down a little bit. You'll see he was watching a Stan Hansen match before this match with Pac. And you could tell why. The big fella Butch loves that old school, throwing his weight around, beat you up, be a bully. He was a bully in this match, and that's what we needed to see, right?
For sure.
Pac is playing a face for the first time, really in quite some time. And to have him play that when we know really he's so good as a heel, we need that effective heel to play off of. And Butch did a great job of being that bully that threw him around. That there was a sequence of offense where he hit a lariat and then he hit like a gut wrench suplex and then that power bomb that you mentioned. And I thought I was like, hold this match. I thought he was going to beat PAC after that power bomb.
Right.
After that tandem offense there, like after that sequence of events there, I was like, wow, I literally thought Butcher was going to pull it off. And it wouldn't have been a surprise because this feud has been
back and forth
good at establishing all 7 guys as legitimate threats. We talk about that over and over again. Iron sharpening iron. This match made both guys look like $1 million afterwards. And honestly, it wasn't just them that benefited. I thought that, the Bunny is so entertaining and great. She's on a perfect role right now. She's talking trash to PAC while he's getting beat up was exactly what we needed to see. And I will say Kingston as the mouthpiece for these guys works great because both Butcher and Blade tend to like let their physicality do the talking for them.
Yep.
So Kingston's the exact opposite. That guy likes to run his mouth, and then he runs scared when he's facing an opponent. And that was
I love
awesome.
that.
That was one of my favorite moments of this whole event. Was when he was gonna go tell Butcher what to do at the end of the match, and Lance Archer, the Murder Hawk monster, cut him off. And it sent Kingston running behind JR, hiding behind him in the commentator's booth, scared out of his mind. I thought it was an awesome visual and a great character moment where you got to see the big bad Murder Hawk monster kind of playing what we've seen here, being the middleman. He's not necessarily aligned with the Death Triangle, but he's not going to allow Kingston to run roughshod and to basically take all these cheap shots and shortcuts against other people. I think Lance Archer is going to kind of be the judge, jury, and executioner. He's going to kind of be that guy who blocks him off from doing anything out of hand.
It was a great seeing him walk out of the tunnel, and then Ingston taking his tail between his legs and hiding behind the commentators. This is kind of like the true first time we've seen Kingston be a coward and run away, and it's really working. And his, being a really strong heel, and I mean, it's really helping Lance Archer and PAC. I mean, that picture I just threw up. I mean, I know PAC's not the biggest guy, but it looks. Lance is just massive, man.
And he's getting better and better. You can tell he's getting more built, more jacked. I mean, the guy's continuing to push himself to get better. No, I mean, SPD, from the minute this feud was set up, you've talked about it. This is a feud that we want to see go on for a long time.
Yeah.
And this is an example why, right? You get to see one potential matchup out of these 7 guys thrown together. You get to see PAC and Butch. And it didn't disappoint. It absolutely delivered, and then some. It was hard hitting. It was back and forth. It was an incredible match that I agree with you. I almost wish that Kingston wasn't on commentary, and that's a weird thing to say because he's so entertaining. But I just wanted the opportunity to just be quiet and watch these two beat the hell out of each other. Honestly, after our show today, I'm going to go back and just kind of watch that match again because these are 2 of my favorite guys in the AEW. And extending to the whole feud, you're bringing in Kingston, you're bringing in Lance Archer, who we love. The Murder Hawk, I think that guy, when it comes to big men, we talked about it earlier with Luchasaurus. Nobody throws a crossbody like Lance Archer. Nobody. I mean, that dude, his power, his blend of power and speed and agility, especially for his age, is incredible. I love what Archer's doing. And I think the Butcher and the Blade are underappreciated tag team in AEW in the grand scheme of things. There's a lot of new teams on the scene, a lot of new teams that are making buzz for themselves. But I would not be upset with Butcher and the Blade or the Lucha Brothers getting a tag title run in 2021.
Oh, that would be great. I think it would be definitely great.
This feud, I could talk about it for the rest of the podcast with the SPD. It features some of the most compelling characters on AEW television, and it really is solidifying them as all stars that you can bank on heading into the new year. Really, really love what they did with this one. I thought it was a home run.
Definitely home run. It was, I mean, seeing Pac's finisher and Pac's in-ring performance made him my top performer for sure. You know, we're
That's
going to
what I
go a
was
little
going to
out of
ask
order. I
you.
know top performer was Pac. I was going back and forth between Butcher and Pac because like we just said, how this is probably one of the most impressive single matches we've seen him in AEW. But I had to go with Pac. I mean, seeing that finisher is probably the best finisher and the most challenging one. I mean, just the slow patience and going up to there. I mean, you got to be so steady
The
to
black
do those
that
maneuvers. That's wow. Very impressive.
And I like that too, SPD, that you mentioned that, because we've talked about Pac transitioning to more of that face role. For those of us who are diehard Pac fans, we know that when he's the heel, he tends to go away from his high flying offense. He tends to do more. His finisher is the brutalizer, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
that submission maneuver, and so integrating using that black arrow off the top. That is an example of him leaning into his babyface tendencies a little bit more. And I think that we forget what he's capable of when it comes to his high flying offense. SPD, Pac was my top performer last week, and
Yep.
I had him chalked up as my top performer this week, but I don't want to be one of those guys that's getting fans to click the X button on top because I don't want them to just think that I'm going to be loading over Pac every single week. The guy is the man. And if you forget, I have a feeling that you're going to be reminded of what he's capable of going into the new year. This feud is definitely showing